Thank you and welcome. It's nice to see that everyone remembered, at least everyone here, remembered to change their clocks. So let's just take a moment to breathe into that message of that song for just this moment now. And we heard in the reading that Colleen shared how often we're lost in the past or the future. And of course we have no power to really affect the past or the future, except from this moment now. And we all know in this here and now moment we've probably experienced when we have an aha moment or a deeper realization and suddenly the past can shift, something we've held regret over or felt bad about or felt should have been different. In this moment now we can come into an awareness and awakening, and that moment can shift. How many of us have had those moments when we feel so grounded and present in the now that we trust and know that everything really is happening perfectly? Everything we went through was a journey or a step on the way here. And we also know in this moment now we do have the power to see the future. We talked about it in the meditation this morning, or felt it in the meditation this morning, when we honored the breath. And that through this invisible substance that's all around us, that literally activates and enlivens this body and allows us to be conscious and present in this moment, how it connects us with everyone. And we open to the idea that perhaps each and every breath that we breathe, we imprint with our energy. We imprint with that essence of who we are. And the title of the talk today is No Matter the Question, You Are the Answer. So just take a moment to notice what that brings up in you. No matter what the question, you are the answer. Does it give you a feeling of power, of centeredness? Does it give you an overwhelming feeling of responsibility? A little bit? Valerie?
My horoscope the other day was, the reason you're feeling frustrated is that you're in the driver's seat.
Anyone else? Share, yes, Carol.
Well, I just want to say, it makes me think about right away, it's not me, it's my big self, it's the God in me. I have to turn to that to get my answers. That's what I think about.
Wonderful, yeah. And that really focuses me on what I want to share about today, which is our personal, intimate connection with that God, that source. Whether you call it God, the God omnipotent, or the energy of love, or the activating principle of the universe, or divine mind, it's that power and that presence. And it speaks to us in a voice that only we can hear. So our individuality, even though we're all connected, and we're going to read some quotes that talk about that today, even though we are all connected in that one power and one presence, we are each individual expressions of that one power, that one presence. So when I say, whatever the question, you are the answer, it means that you have an individual answer and goal and role and vision and purpose to express. And that vision may change in each moment. A lot of us are looking for that big, what's my purpose? I mean, I do coaching work and yoga, and over the years people have always come to me, well, what's my purpose? I want to know what my purpose is. And I have to say, I've spent a lot of time looking for my purpose, thinking that it's one thing that once I get it, I can say, oh, okay, I've got my purpose now, I can relax. Our purpose changes in each moment. Right? We've talked a lot in the past year that all we ever really need to know is what's next. And how do we know what's next?
Divine guess.
The inner voice.
Rick said, a divine guess. Absolutely. I got goosebumps with that one. I love that because that's exactly what it is. It's a guess because we've also talked about our addiction to knowing, and the truth is we're always in a place of not knowing. We are part of this evolutionary process which is constantly changing. Even our bodies. Our body is different today than it was yesterday. I think someone told me that every 7 days our entire stomach is new. All the cells have been changed. So our body is constantly changing. We're in a constant process of change. And so we can just guess, which a lot of us do that. But when we remember that we can make a divine guess by stopping and tuning in. Insight. It's a wonderful word, and to me, it's a very powerful lesson of how to live life, how to choose, how to find the answers to those questions that come up. That insight is that inner sight, where we look within and listen. So as I say that, I'm kind of feeling that each and every one of you is taking a moment to go to that place within. Is it a shift? Do you feel it when I talk about insight and you think about turning your vision inside? Something shifts. It's a different felt vibration, as Michael Brown talks about. So I'm going to move to some quotes, hoping it will stimulate a conversation here. First one I want to talk about is what came up in our reading last week, which has stuck with me all week, when Michael Brown talked about being able to wield our authenticity. To wield our authenticity. We may speak our mind in situations in which we would normally have kept quiet. He's talking about what happens when you begin moving through this process and tuning into present moment awareness. And present moment awareness is his word for that God, the good, omnipotent. It's that thing, that energy that connects us all. It is that God, the good, omnipotent, present moment awareness. And when we tune into it and really begin to live our life based on that, answer our questions based on the truth that only we know the answers of what is right for us. And then we begin to speak our mind in situations in which we would have normally kept quiet. This happens when our authenticity reawakens and is a necessary development, although it may at first feel uncomfortable. How many of us have felt uncomfortable when there's an inner something telling us, I need to do something here, or sometimes I need to not do anything here and just zip the lip. And we go into that place of discomfort because we're stepping out of that comfort zone, out of what's expected from us from all the outside stimulation, and we're listening to that insight, that inner guidance. Through the process, we discover our ability to say no when we mean no, and yes when we mean yes. Initially, wielding our authenticity may cause us to feel we are doing something wrong. And yet when we continue to honor ourselves, we strengthen a new muscle. And when we do that, we become the example of all the people around us. I've seen that happening in my life over the last year and a half since I've been doing this process and really taking the risk of stepping into my truth and beginning to wield my authenticity. And the discomfort often comes because when I say yes when I mean yes and no when I mean no, number one, it's different than I used to act, and people that are used to me fitting in and doing what I'm, quote, supposed to do based on some outside idea, they may get upset. Wonderful thing through the presence process is it teaches us when our buttons get pushed and when we get upset, it's our responsibility. Not to try to fix the outside world, but to go to the causal point, feel the feeling. What is that feeling trying to tell us? Rather than a knee-jerk reaction of trying to fix so the feeling will go away, we go into the feeling, breathe into it, invite it in, place our insight inside as to what's happening. We talked about the energy centers in the meditation this morning. We went through and we experienced them. And this solar plexus, very powerful energy center, always giving us information. The way we get the information is to listen to that solar plexus with these upper chakras. Open higher mind, the third eye, the throat center. Breathe into it. We're so used to using this throat center just to speak our truth. If we get upset, to yell, to push it away. If we can breathe into it and listen with the throat, that's where we hear our divine guidance. My yoga teachings and some of these ancient teachings teach us that the mind is not in our brain. Our brain is our brain, it's a computer, it's doing a lot of stuff, but it's not our mind. The mind exists within the entire body. Our entire body has innate intelligence that we can really listen to. So if anything's coming up around what I'm saying, I love it when people raise their hand. This is a yes.
So how do you listen with your throat?
Okay.
What does that look like? Or what is that?
Well, the only way I can talk about it, but you can experience. So take a moment. Breathe through the throat. Notice when you breathe, the breath is full of information. It is, in a sense, the medium that we use to connect all these different parts of us. If we hold our breath for too long, we're going to pass out. The consciousness will move out of the body. So I think our conscious awareness, or the mind, is much more the breath. It's present all around us. All this information is flooding to us. It's another thing Michael Brown says. He says that the presence is all-knowing. It knows the future. It knows what's happened next. It's connected to every single other being on the planet. So that means we are connected to every other being on the planet, energetically. We've been trained in this society to really deify the intellect. The intellect has become our God, so we think it's all about thinking. Thinking is wonderful, it's a wonderful process, but it's not all there is. We learn through insight, through those aha moments, that come to us not from thinking. Suddenly we know in a situation where we didn't know it. It's not that someone taught us, it's not that we read it in a book. How many of you have had that experience that suddenly it's like, I get it. And it didn't come from anywhere outside, it came in here. And how do you know that it was an insight and you really get it? Not because it suddenly made sense up here, but because you feel it in the heart, in the solar plexus. Our feeling center is so powerful. It's really what lets us know what our authentic truth is, the answers to our questions. So back to Mary, let's take a moment to breathe into the throat and just feel our awareness there. And now open these centers here, just by placing your mind there in your third eye, kind of feel it open. Crown of your head, feel it open. And now breathe through the throat into your heart. What's the experience? Anybody, people to share? Just
Peacefulness.
peaceful. Yeah. And so this is how we listen. I mean, be still and know.
Oops.
Listen, there we go. That could be the answer to the question. So, yes.
I seem to be getting, in all my life, I get more information through the feeling. My body tells me more than my thinking does, it seems, to me, for me.
Yeah. Yeah. The body does when we're stressed out. Our hands will sweat, our heart rate goes up, you know. Body tells us what's going on. And what we've been trained to do is we feel discomfort, something going on, and we immediately think, I have to fix, which means I have to figure out what's going on. And we very often go to in the past. Oh, this is just like when that thing happened in the past, and oh my God, it's happening again, how do I fix it? When we're in that, oh my God, I have to mode, we're in fight-flight. We're coming from the ego mind. We're not in tune with God, the good omnipotent. So unless we're crossing the street and there's a bus coming at us, and the truth is, even at that point, we don't think. The body says, get out of here. Adrenaline pumps and everything. So that place of worry, of anxiety, is an opportunity to stop. Do just what we did. We breathed into the throat. Did that help answer your question? Or if it's made it more confusing, let me know, because we'll explore.
Well, I got a little distracted, but...
And that may be an important, I would check whoever called later and see what it is, because it did come as you asked that question, so could be an answer to some question that maybe you haven't even thought of asking yet. But see, when we trust God, the good omnipotent, doesn't it also mean that there's a part, an energy that we're connected to that knows everything, that knows our highest good, that knows our divine plan? Not just the divine plan of the whole, because that's what we do. We think the divine plan, of course maybe there's a divine plan in the whole universe, but I've got to figure out what to do with my life. I don't really fit in there. How many of us have that story? That there's a separateness, that there's a disconnect. Yeah. God is within us, moving through us. Our job is to honor that relationship by listening. And that technique, I know, certainly up here I felt it as we breathed into the throat, connected it with these other centers. There was a very peaceful energy that settled over the church. And so next time you do have a question or something's coming up, one of the reasons maybe you didn't get an aha moment or question is there's nothing up at this moment. We're so trained to be human doings that we have forgotten how to stop, how to be still and know. And maybe the most important knowing that we can come to is not the answer of what's my purpose in life, but to simply know the peace that can exist in this moment. I mean, we've all been working so many years, this wonderful human family, of trying to bring peace into life. And yet if we always start with ourselves, and that's some of the most powerful teaching, if we can sit and experience peace in this moment, then that peace that we breathe out into the world, into this invisible substance, it spreads throughout the entire world. I mean, so much of the ways we try to find peace is by going to war, right? It's a little bit crazy, but we've been doing it for thousands of years. I'm going to make those people see my point of view because I really want a good world and I want peace, but they don't see it, so let's go kill them. It's insane if you think about it. So I've got a couple quotes I want to end a little bit early maybe today because here we go. So So this is more, oh, this is good. Now we're talking about the willpower. We talked about the different chakras. Our willpower, according to the Buddhists and the Hindus and the yoga tradition, the willpower resides in our solar plexus. And we all know what powerful motivators our emotions are, this is where we feel in the solar plexus. And it's called the solar plexus, solar sun. The sun is the #1 life-giving energy for us on this planet. So this is our sun center. This is the activating center. So Michael Brown says here, the first reward we intend for ourselves is that of building the muscle of personal willpower. So willpower, what does that mean to people? We can explore this a little bit. We've heard that all our lives, our willpower.
Stick-to-itiveness with a definite goal or something.
Good. Anything else?
Our choice.
Our choice. Our choice. For me, it's what will I do? What do we actually do each day? That's being motivated by our willpower. And so my question is your willpower connected to your insight or your personal answer to any question? Or is it dictated by trying to fit in, by what other people want from you, by what you've been taught or told is the right thing to do in the past? Not that there isn't wonderful teachings in the past, not that there's not very powerful information from the past, but humanity is the cutting edge of conscious awareness in this grand experiment we call the universe or the cosmos, which is a process of evolution, always changing, always growing, always the more, nevertheless. And do we want to be part of that? Do we want to be participating in the growth and the evolution of humanity? And there's no right answer to the question. Sometimes for me, it's no. Sometimes I want to say, no, I just want to fit in right now. I just want to coast for a while. That's okay too. But there are also times when I want to step forward and create something new. If we are made in the image of God, then we are creators. That's what God is. He creates. So, the first reward we intend for ourselves is that of building the muscle of personal willpower. And he's talking about the reward as we go into present moment awareness. The will to act on our insight in spite of what we perceive to be happening in the outside world. This capacity is one of the fruits we gradually enjoy when we consistently connect our breathing twice a day for 15 minutes. So this is the specific technique that he gives us in the book, along with a couple of other simple tools that are very powerful. We experience the same thing, I'm going to suggest, I know I did, when we practiced breathing into the throat center and just listening as we connected these other energy centers and opened into the heart. It's just another technique to bring you into the present moment, activating your insight, your ability to listen within to these, what I've been calling the inner senses. Our chakras are inner senses. It's like our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, our outer senses that we feel the outside world with. Our inner senses are feeling the world energetically. I believe this is what allows the dog who's sitting at home, and the minute his master turns off his computer at work 20 miles away, the dog gets up and goes and sits in at the front door because he knows his. Has anyone seen that? That was on a Channel 13 special about cats and dogs. But how does that happen? You know, every day the dog does that, and they tested it. The minute his master turns off his computer, he gets up and goes and sits at the door. He's tuned in energetically. We think of ourselves as more intelligent than the animals, yet, hello. You know, I mean, how do these birds migrate? I mean, we look at the animal world. We all have, I'm getting goosebumps again, we all have those abilities within us, but we made this thinking process God and detach from these inner energy centers, these inner senses. And the only way we can contact them is in the here and now, in this present moment. That's why meditation and prayer and just being willing to focus on these inner senses, just imagining that there's an inner energetic system inside your body. And if we are that powerful, and if there is an inner energetic system, what does that say to health challenges? What does it say to an injury? What does it say to that healer who worked on my mom being able in 4 weeks to have her numbers drop in half when they've been going up for 4 years? That anything is possible, and that belief, when we're using our thoughts to worry, to focus on the negative, to think, oh my God, this is going to happen again, sending negative energy out, that's how powerful we are. We find it shows up in our life. So the answer to any question is you. And so I'm going to leave you with, how are you answering those questions? Just those daily, simple things that come up. Are you answering them with the same old thing, the negativity, this is the way it's always happened, so this is what's going to happen? Or are you answering them with the knowing that you are connected to God the good, omnipotent? It's a big word, but it means anything's possible. Anything is possible. Divine health, prosperity, a world free of war where we're all working together. Your imagination is limitless. And that's God talking to you, saying, hey, I'm in you, working through you. What do we want to create? So I'm going to ask you, what do you want to create with God the good, omnipotent? What do you want to create for your life and those you love and for your human family and for the planet? Let's take a moment right now to answer that question for ourselves, just to see what few things come up. Go within, breathe into it, and we'll take that moment of silence now. That God the good is like that genie in a bottle, but it's not a fairy tale. What is your wish for yourself, for your loved ones, for humanity, and for